Hello everybody, warm welcome back into Grantham CBT channel. We have today the Beechcraft Baron 5A RP pack, and we've been taking the November 4-5 X-ray Sierra from Pittsburgh all the way down to Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Niagara Falls. Today's a little bit different. Dawn of the Dead, 1978. That's all I have to say probably, and you all know. But one of the greatest zombie films of all time was actually filmed at this very airport. And now we're going to be taken off from it and travelling to escape the zombies. But yeah, 1978. And nowadays, the airport is no longer used. So we're actually at a disused airport. Sky Vectors, of course, thinks the same thing. It doesn't exist, so therefore we can't put it in on the flight plan. But for those who don't know, of course, Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 zombie horror film, which is written, directed, and edited by George Romero, and it is fantastic, and it does bring the whole thing to life. I say that, like, the airport was only used very briefly in the film, but it's still very memorable. Of course, you know, it was the predecessor to Day of the Dead, which was even bigger. But Romero wanted to make another zombie film back then after Night of the Living Dead for several years to avoid being stereotyped as a horror director. I guess he wanted to be more specifically zombies. Upon visiting the Monroeville Mall in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, with a friend whose company managed the complex, decided to use the location as basis for the film. Now, if we look on the map, we're actually right near Pittsburgh. So this would have been... This area is Pittsburgh, so this will be where the mall is. And we're way out here on the outskirts. They didn't get very far before they had to get in the chopper. Today we have a nice route planned from... let me bring it up. Actually, no, there's no need. It's about 2 hours in the flight time. We have departure here from Pittsburgh area, Monroeville, now closed airport, to KCAK. Then we'll be travelling westwards to KFKL. And then we'll be travelling northwards to our final destination, KBUF, which is Buffalo Niagara International. Let's get into the flight planning. Let's try and get this done pretty quickly. The aircraft is ready to, I think, fly. I think she's in good condition. We have to check the engineer side of things, although I think everything is good. Preheat is not needed. We're at 20 degrees. Now, in the zombie apocalypse, and I do really enjoy zombie horror and zombie films and fiction, I've always said that planes were the best way to go, but in Dawn of the Dead they took a helicopter, which I guess is more agile and you can land in more places, so it makes more sense. So would a plane really be a good option to survive it? I mean, realistically, I think it would, because you've still got plenty of space on the airfield there and the airport to manoeuvre without them overrunning you. Let's hop in, let's just check all the switches are off. And of course these alternators are on as usual. Still not fixed that explain IC. Panel lights should be off as well. Those should be sort of idle. And props should be full forward. Although they can be cut off and then you can push them full forward to get it reset. Right, I think that's probably it on the pre-check on the cockpit. Oh, and flight controls of course. Very small movement in the Beechcraft Baron, which I do enjoy. Yeah, so the Beechcraft Baron itself I think is a fantastic choice. Quite a stable aircraft to fly. Let's get on board, we'll load her up. So today we actually want a full, we don't want a full load because the plan is to get people from different airports. Collect them from different places. We have... Setting off from here, can we survive the zombie apocalypse? I think the answer will probably be yes, provided we fly well. A goal, so, is to go escape Monroeville Municipal Airport and Beechcraft Baron as we fly. I don't know if that's the right airport, Monroeville Municipal. I don't know if that's correct, but it might be. It's different names. I think it's called Harold Brown Field. As we fly to Akron Canton Regional to save our family. So we've got to get our family from Akron Canton Regional. And then we'll be saving another former pilot stranded in Venango Regional with no fuel. So we've got our family and a pilot to get, which means we're the only ones on board to start. And then when we get to the next stop, we'll have our family. And then the stop after that, we'll have an extra pilot. We don't even have that much baggage because, you know, we're under rush. We're escaping. We've got no bags aboard. Maybe we've got 5 in the back. And then fuel wise, so let's fuel. We got 0 on fuel, so let's fuel her up quickly. And we'll assume there's a fuel truck here with us. So we check the battery, let's just do it quick. Yeah, we are dry. If you remember last time, we drained it. So we get the, I'm going to use this one for it. We'll do the notepad again. So we have 2 hours and 17 roughly. So we'll just say 2 hours 30 and we'll be at 9,000 feet. So 16.5, you know, times 2 is 33. What do you want me to put? I'll put G, gallons. And then we do half an hour of, let me get my calculator out so I can get the specific numbers. Since we're in a rush, would we really be able to do this? I think this is why helicopters are better. I mean, in planes you could just hurry up and get them refueled, but in you also have to take your time. So I guess if there's a zombie apocalypse, it really does add a different angle. You wouldn't even have time to plan it. You would just be refuel it all, probably maximum. And if you were fully loaded, I mean, you would really have to take into account the centre of gravity. It's a very complicated thing. And the same on the chopper as well. So 16.5. So that's 8.25. Let's round that up. Actually, no, let's not. So that's for half an hour. Plus the 33. It seems slightly boring when you do it that way, but, you know, that's a guaranteed way to get it right, folks. Plus 33. 41.25. So now we can round it up to 42. So that's 2.5 hours worth of fuel. 42 plus we'll take 30 minutes of reserve fuel. We're flying VFR today. Everybody's dead, so ATC's dead. We don't have any comms available. Yeah, 30 minutes of fuel. I just think it should be I'll put 9 in instead, and then we'll take. So we need 16.5 gallons in cruise. You notice I'm not using the references because they are in fact incorrect for this aircraft, and the developer still hasn't fixed them. They have updated the aircraft, but they haven't fixed the references, which is interesting. So it's all the wrong numbers. Did you remember that last flight we did run out of fuel because the numbers were incorrect. So 42 plus the 9 for reserves. Let's just say we were in a panic and we put 20 gallons in. So that would be 62 gallons. Needed, which is about 30 in each. Now that is hopefully going to be enough, but I don't think it will somehow. Then we reload up and that. I don't know why it's not saved the weights. I mean, I did type it in 0, but yeah, when we get to the next airfield and we load up, we'll have to see whether we're in the centre of gravity. Notice then it didn't save the weights, which is quite not unusual for this plane. I actually say, reiterate again, if you are going to be in zombie apocalypse, do not use the REP, just use the default Baron. Let's click apply. So 30 gallons in there. That doesn't look like it'd be enough, but I guess it probably will be. Right. So let's get the door closed. Let's get our beacon on. We are in a rush today. I'm going to talk some more about the movie when we're in the air. So straight up to 9,000. Looks like we'll be going in 0 knots on the wind. It's a miracle. And we have a 3014 on the QNH. I think that's, is that right? 3014. I'm assuming that's correct. Okay, nav lights can come on. Mixture's too rich. Fuel selector's on. Props. Not the pitot heat. I keep forgetting I've got these on manual pump mode for some reason, not assigned to switches, so again that would just take. Then again in real life you'd have to do it by hand. I think by now we would have been swarmed by the Z's. So let's forward, bring the props back. We'll go for a left one first, say clear the prop. There we go. Bring it to about 1,000. Let's get those lights on in the cabin. She really wants to go today. It must be quite warm outside. Performance seems good already. No, only 2 degrees, so it's actually pretty cold today in Pennsylvania. And then we'll go for the right sides to clear the right side prop. Good, they're coming alive, and we'll keep the nice and low in the idle. We'll keep the prop sync on. And we get the taxi lights on. I mean, we could just do it super quick. So yeah, this is where it was. They got in the chopper and they sort of prepared to continue on. They didn't really know at this point where they were going to go and what they were going to do. The whole world had just gone to the dead, and they were rising pretty quickly. Alternators, avionics, and yeah, they did decide to take a chopper from here to Monroeville Mall, which of course is not the best place to go, I'll be honest, but it's a lot of fun. Imagine having an open mall to yourself and being able to live in it. I think that's just such a fantastic idea. Here we are, so there's Pittsburgh International. We've got 1200 on the squawk. We'll get that onto standby mode. Let's go down to the runway. We can see there's pretty much no wind today, so we can go down and take off from that direction. Tiny taxiways here. We have got free and correct controls. Wood is a little bit sensitive. Right, let's go rescue the pilot. My family first and then the pilot. Yeah, see if we got time now for a run up. So many questions of what is possible and what is not really essential. Run up seems essential, but we'll do it on the runway to save time. Imagine those propellers just tearing down the Undead. That would be so cool. Which they in fact are right now. Right, there we go. We slap the brakes on. Let's go ahead and get our engine up to 1500. Again, efficiently as possible. Strobes are already on. There's 1500. Very minor feather. Up to 1700. Come on. Try the pitot heats, all the anti-ice to check. Seems pretty good. Gyro pressure is really strong today. It's almost past 6. That seems a little bit too strong, but that is good. That's probably because of the temperature as well. Performance will be enhanced in slightly colder temps. And 2200. Let's check the magnetos first. Good. And then the right side. You probably could skip this if the dead were chasing you, to be fair. There's barely any drop there, which I suspected was the case. You see, I'm trying to do it super quick. Things aren't going so smoothly on this engine, so it's a big red flag, isn't it? I suppose we're good though. We've not got any fires. That's all good on there. I know it's safe to go, folks. Prop sync are coming back on. Landing lights. We're actually going to go with a nitro flaps because this is quite a small runway. We're going to do a brakes on departure. They're all around us. We're scared. Let's get going. Going to bring those throttles up. And brakes released. Airspeed is live, 60 knots. A nice smooth departure, landing gear coming up. Keep it nice and steady on departure, and there we can bring our flaps up about 600 or 700 feet. This aircraft is very stabilised. It's really beautiful scenery as well. Everybody down there just getting eaten. Really unique place actually to just have a general survival scenario. So many forests, so many locations that are easy to remember. So yeah. And obviously we've not programmed the flight plan in, which is partly deliberate, partly not. Because we're in a rush, I didn't do it. Landing lights can come off. Let's try and keep it a little bit more stable, because we're sort of way all over the place at the moment. And your damper should come on as well. Let's pitch down, let's reduce our propellers to 2500. Let's do a... So we'll just let the speed build up and then we'll do the autopilot. Your deb is on. Transponder can come onto altitude, but again, we're kind of stressed out. We don't know what's happening with ATC. We don't know if we're going to get any other pilots. Is anybody alive out there? If at all. There we go, folks, on our way to save our family. Let's go ahead and get our head-in mode and vertical speed mode on. And now we can check roughly what heading we need to be on. So we need to go on initial heading to KCAK of 304. Autopilot anytime today. Straight me usually clicks on when I press it. Let's go ahead and program it in over here, although we could probably see it. So there's KAGC. We want KCAK, which is about 60 nautical miles from our position. Akron Canton Regional, so we'll put that in as our first waypoint. We'll go over to navigation mode. Autopilot just not wanting to behave today. I wonder what's going on with it. Seems to not want to pitch or follow the flight plan or follow the head-ins or even activate. We are climbing very fast though, and then we'll get up to altitude and we'll put the mixtures into lean position. In fact, we can do that now while we're here, so we want to try and start leaning it. Ideally, the closer to 16.5, the better. If we were following their references for the REP, that would be too low and too incorrect. You can't really go below 16.5 on this. If you do, like, you can only do it on the default Baron, not on the REP. Let's get our cow flaps up. CHD is nice and low now, but we need it to be at this temperature at heights above 150. So there's roughly 16.5. And we're coming up to 9,000 feet. Fantastic. Yeah, he decided to use that Monroeville Mall in Monroeville, Pennsylvania as a basis for the film's story. The project came to the attention of Italian filmmaker Dario Argento, who along with his brother Claudio and producer Alfredo Cuomo agreed to finance the film in exchange for its international distribution rights. Argento consulted with Romero during the script writing phase, and there's also a Romero and Argento cut of the film available, and I have all the cuts of the film available. I own them all, and I have to say I do still prefer the Romero cut. The 2 hour cut and the 2 hour 30 cut, they're very, very long, and it doesn't add too much to the story. Principal photography for the film took place between 1977 and 1978. Location in Monroeville and Pittsburgh. The special effects were created by Tom Savini, whose work film led to an extensive career creating similar effects for other horror films. And he also did a fantastic remake of Night of the Living Dead as well, which I think is fantastic, and it still holds up from the 1990s, by the way. It still holds up today as being a great movie for special effects. And back then, of course, they had visual effects, real effects, tangible effects which you could feel and touch and create with your own mind and hands. Nowadays it's all digital, and I think that's what Romero was known for. You know, he didn't have any digital effects. Most of it was real. In fact, pretty much all of it was real. Yeah, in post-production, Romero and Argento edited separate versions of the film for their respective markets. As I previously mentioned, both have cuts available. Argento's version features a progressive rock score composed and performed by his frequent collaborators with Goblin, and while Romero's cut primarily favours stock cues from the DeWolf music library. That's interesting. I think we all know the Goblin track from the Dawn of the Dead films, a very memorable soundtrack, probably one of the most memorable in history, just the soundtrack alone. Following its premiere in 1978, September the 1st, Dawn of the Dead was released in other markets the following year. Despite facing difficulties with various national censorship boards, United States specifically, it was released unrated to improve its commercial prospects after it was given an X by Motion Picture Association of America. And in Britain, it was liable for seizure during the 80s, during the video nasties era or the moral panic. The film proved to be a major success at the box office, grossing $66 million worldwide against its estimated budget of $640,000. So that really is quite incredible. That really is one of the highest grossing films of all time then, just based on those numbers. Less than $1 million in budget, and it made over $66 million. That would explain why his later films like Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead were such big budget movies. Although Day of the Dead did have a lot of content cut out of it. How are we doing on the flight? We've gone over 9,000 feet. I was so enthralled in that history. So let's go to 11,500 and we'll level off. So since we're a little bit higher than 9.5, we can actually put our props to 2,600 RPM. We can increase those since we're higher up, which is normal. And it means we can also still burn 16.5 gallons. Probably a little bit more efficiently, if anything. Let's try that and see how that goes. We're really safe though, 11,500. The zombies are definitely not going to get us at this altitude. Fantastic view, fantastic plane. Oh, there she is. There's Pittsburgh International Airport. And one of the airports essentially in the States that has a roller coaster of a runway. I practiced there. I don't know if they've changed it, but it does go up and down, if that's the airport. It looks like it is. Yeah, very, very memorable. Or it might be the other side I'm thinking of. You know what, let's get the panel lights on as well. Is that going to make any difference? It doesn't seem to, but we'll keep them on. There we are, we're cruising, and we're going pretty quick actually, 11,500. We do have 33, 34 knot headwind though, so I guess we need all the power we can get. CHT is now above 150, but only barely. Perhaps we should get our stall warning heat things on, because it's going below 0 degrees. And yeah, back to the story. So following those sort of bans, it proved very successful, and it's noticed very satirical content, portrayal of consumerism, received widespread critical acclaim since its initial release, and is widely considered to be one of the greatest horror films ever made, as well as the greatest zombie film. And I think I would definitely agree with that. Definitely one of the best available. But it just goes to show, I think back then people were just more creative in the 70s, 60s and 70s in general. And nowadays we really do just have consumerism and brain dead people. So yeah, it was well ahead of its time. It knew what was coming in the future. Although back then they still had big malls, but they weren't, I don't know, they were special places back then, but today they seem to be sort of everyday places which people go into, but not really specialised, if that makes sense. So people don't look at them as being a unique place that you don't have to go to very often. I think people go there so often that they don't know the difference between their own homes and the shops. And of course it'll be like that for the rest of eternity, because that's the way humanity's going. Widespread critical acclaim, and to this day, folks, I still see YouTube videos on Dawn of the Dead where they go back and revisit the mall. It is still standing, but it is of course different, and it's been renovated to some extent, and things will be missing. Like its predecessor, The Night of the Living Dead, which was also a groundbreaking and cult-like film. It garnered a large international cult following, and in 2008 it was chosen by Empire magazine as one of the 500 greatest movies of all time, along with Night of the Living Dead, and I think that's also really well earned by them. Still, 1978, I mean, I really have a thing for the 60s and 70s movies. They were just so much better. But 1978, we're in 2026 now. It's too long ago that we had good cinema, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It's too long ago since we had anything memorable like that. There's so many zombie films now, so many cheap ones, that it just makes... It has no special place in anybody's hearts, because there's just so many of them. There are a few good ones standing out. Obviously, Shaun of the Dead, you know, is a good one. The Zombieland series was very enjoyable. Either way, it was followed, Dawn of the Dead was followed by 4 official sequels, and of course that began with Day of the Dead in 1985, and an unofficial separate series, Italian-made sequels which I did watch, called Zombie and Zombie 2. It also inspired a 2004 remake film by Zack Snyder. Don't get me started on the Zack Snyder version, but I did think it was okay at the time. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. As well as numerous parodies and pop culture references in other media such as Shaun of the Dead, Dead Rising and Left 4 Dead. All of those things are fantastic. Shaun of the Dead, really good film. British film as well, a British zombie film. Dead Rising, one of the Capcom games, was set in the mall, and yeah, that was very iconic in 2006, I think it was, and Left 4 Dead as well. The same kind of thing where you were in this sort of suburban setting. Airfield scenes were filmed at Harold W. Brown Memorial Airfield in Monroeville, an airport located about 2 miles from the mall, so we were very, very close to it. The scenes of the group's hideout at the top of the mall were filmed on a set built at Romero's and Production Company. The latent image, and there is an image here, but it's not very clear. Gun store was also not located in the mall for filming. The crew used Firearms Unlimited, a shot that existed in the East Liberty district of Pittsburgh at the time. And then the police stock scene where the helicopter departs for the airport and the mall, etc., was filmed in downtown Pittsburgh, right next to the can't pronounce it, well maybe this is right, Monongahela River at 1S 6th Street. The building, the landing pad and pumps are gone from it, and the location is now an outdoor art gallery called the Colour Park. That's interesting. So I guess if you go back there, you save yourself some money. Don't go there because it ain't there. There's nothing to see. Fascinating, fascinating. And we're doing doing this route today in memory of that film and in memory of just good cinema in general. Ours is going to take us out here, and then we got to go back west, and then we'll have to go up north towards Niagara, Buffalo, Niagara Falls. Suppose we better plan for an arrival. Wind is headwind. There's our airport. Let's see what airport runways are available. Let's see what we can land on. So we have a 01 or a 05. I guess it'd be a 01 for arrival, and we'll get down, we'll get our family, and then we'll get back out again. It looks like we've got Alpha as the taxiway, so maybe we'll get off and then taxi down that runway and then down to Bravo and Alpha. Let's start our descent, folks. At the moment, because of the headwind, I'm just going to leave the speed settings and power settings where they are. Then again, I could bring the propellers back, but not the manifold. So bring those propellers back, maybe to 2500. Or maybe we should bring them all the way back to 2100 there, because we do have good headwind which will provide. You know, it's going to be very good for the lift of the blades and the wingers in general. It's pre-planned 01, so we'll put the course onto 01 and keep following the heading we're on. Probably have to do a slight left-hand turn there actually, so let's go to heading mode. See if we could do a procedure here. So to approach 01. Oh, there is an ILS for runway 01. And a VOR DME, which I don't think we need today. So I'll load it in and I'll see what happens. It's got us going and directly to it. Maybe we should load it up actually. Yeah, so roughly in this direction as I expected. Now we're bringing those, you know, the propellers back. We can sort of get an idea of speed, and if we need to bring our manifold back, we can do. This flight has been strange for the CHT because we closed the cowl flaps late. The CHT hasn't gotten much above 150, and of course we enrich those mixtures as we get lower down as well. So I'm going to bring the manifold back slightly as well. This is going to be a tight approach. Looks like we're going to be straight in for this runway. So we have a small angle to work with, and then we're pretty much going to be on final. It says ILS, so we haven't got the ILS tuned in. Because we've been in a rush since there's been zombies chasing us, we haven't really had the opportunity to, as I say, put the flight plan in or really check the charts. And there's no ATC, of course, because they're all gone. Bit nervous about this actually. We're probably not even going to be able to do a full shutdown. Well, I have to do an engine shutdown because we have to make it safe for people to get on board, and we are expecting my wife, my 2 kids as well, so that's going to be interesting. That's only 3 people, and then the pilot we're picking up is going to be able to join me in the cockpit, and he's going to hopefully get a bit of workload for me because I'm struggling with the stress of the situation. So yeah, it really turns out that not only is flying probably much more difficult, but just much more like it's not a viable option to fly in this kind of situation. A helicopter, sure, because you have more maneuverability and you can land in a lot more locations, but a plane, it's just very, very difficult to do this. The only benefit a plane has is it has more space. In the case of the Baron, we have more space than a helicopter. Well, actually I say that, but realistically we probably have the same space. So here we are, we're coming down. We're just going to keep descending now so we can see the runway. Now, in fact, you know, I could take control, but I want to wait till we're down to about 2,000–3,000 feet. We should be getting a glimpse of it now from somewhere up ahead. We could always extend. And remember, as soon as we touch down, that's when we're exposed to the dead. As long as we're in the air, we'll be alright. Bring those, I think we can keep them at 2300. I was going to say bring them forward, but 2300 on the RPM is fine. We are inbound. I'll probably just increase the manifold and adjust that as required. I'll keep the mixtures fully rich as well. We're going to get our landing lights on nice and early. Can see civilization. I see what's left of it, at least. Yeah, this is I love the plane idea, but I don't think we would realistically be able to do it. Although we are doing it, folks. We are doing it. I'm doing a thing. Wow, I'm doing it. Look at me, Mom. I'm doing it. They're all dead now. They're all dead now. Anyway, so it doesn't matter. We're level off at 3,500. It's a little bit high up, but so is the sort of altitude of the airport. See, the airport is currently at 1,200 feet. We do have a Briggs VORDME and then the ILS. Big airport this is. Akron Canton Regional. I think we are still in Pennsylvania because we're still within this region. Let's go manual flying. Make sure we have control, we have ailerons. So, can I land it when I'm nervous, when there's, you know, zombies all over? Probably on the runway as well. I hope so. There's also a delay, maybe the alpha honeycomb I'm using. When I turn controls now, I don't know if it's the controls and the alpha becoming weaker as I use it more often, but there's a bit more of a sluggish response. It could also just be the twin piston in general. Indeed it was. It was a Jet Ranger that the original 4 escaped from in Monroeville. A Jet Ranger helicopter. Or something similar to that. It had the seats in the back, of course. 2 in the front. There's a really memorable scene where they say they got no cigarettes, and then the next moment they're all smoking in the helicopter. And back then in the 70s, you were allowed to do that. But then again, the world had gone to shit and it was the zombie apocalypse, so why not? Why not, folks? I think this is the airport. I can see something resembling a runway. It's just not very clear, so we'll try and get on track. We are slowing down. The Baron handling that wind pretty well. It's slowed down to about 9 knots, and it looks like we're going to get a slight headwind as well for London. So we're going to take this nice and wide, this corner, since it's such a sharp turn onto final. And then that way we'll get a more accurate approach. Let's start to slow down. Mixtures and props are coming fully forward. Our landing lights are already on. What we could do with getting our yaw damper off at this point. That'll give us a bit more control. Yeah, it feels a bit more responsive with that yaw damper turned off. Leave the flight director there in case we need to do a go around. I'm hoping not. Maybe I was looking in the wrong place for this airport. But yeah, it's like way over there. I can see the runway now, nice and clear, 01. So we are slowing down, but we're not slow enough yet. Let's just keep that manifold about 15 or 1600. As we turn here to final, we'll hopefully be able to drop a notch of flaps as well. There's only us on board for the moment, so we should be able to drop them at a higher speed. I'm coming for you, I'm coming. I'm arriving in style. And then I turn up and crash. Yes. It's a shame actually that after Dawn of the Dead, Romero did make some good films after that. He made some good zombie films, and he made, I think, let's count them, 4 more films. So there's 6 in total. So yeah, so he made 6 films altogether. The original trilogy from the 1960s, 70s and 80s. And then the final trilogy from the 2000s onwards. It's a shame that he didn't get an opportunity to make more films. There's the outer marker, so we're on track for the runway at least. Struggling to get it down. That wind is changed to a crosswind now, but it feels like it's keeping us in the air a little bit. So we're coming down a little bit slower today because we're lighter, so we can probably afford to do it. There we go, and a nice little screech at the end there, just to remind us we are in fact home. And there's a floating object in the air over there. I thought we had a UFO for a moment. There we are, folks. Let's do a U-turn. That means a 360. We got the landing lights off. We'll act as if there's other people alive still. Flaps can come up. Right, let's go pick up my family and we'll continue with the story, and we'll continue with the rescue. Next stop after this will be the pilot. Since we've landed, I've noticed we've burned quite a bit of fuel, so we'll probably have to refuel again as well. This will only be a very quick stop off. I can see them actually on the taxiway, which is convenient. Let's just pre-plan. Let's get the cow flaps open so we don't blow up our engines. We don't want to crash our engines before we get to Buffalo, Niagara. Okay. thought I could see them. Maybe I'm hallucinating. Is that a mirage or am I tripping? Okay, let's just pull over here. So we're in a rush. We are following the taxi lines. We're going to go ahead and stop right here. And we're going to assume that we've gone out. We've gone to the fuel truck. Although there's one here for us. So parking brake is coming on. Let's get the taxi lights off and we'll cut the avionics as well. Fuel into the cut-off. The magnetos can come off and batteries and alternators. Right, let's get our family loaded up. Let's just check the plane outside. It looks like pretty clear for now. Actually, there's not too many undead. I can see some off in the distance. What is that? Yes, you know it's the end of the world when you've got floating objects at the airport. Okay, wait. So we have... My wife is not actually sitting next to me today. She's going in the back with the 2 children. So there we go. About 70 each, which is more than enough for a child. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and put... Let's put 50 in there. That's still a lot for a child, to be fair. But we'll assume they're quite fat. So, middle seats, baggage. They brought the baggage with them. 25 kg, which is a lot. So, out of the 30 we put in, we've already burnt 10 gallons per wing. I'm going to load up again another... so, we've got 20 in there. Let's put another 30 in. Another 10 in each. So, about 20 gallons more. Right, good. We're still within the centre of gravity. Let's hop back in. Quick! Go, go, go. Right. Battery's still making a lot of noise. Battery's coming on. Strobes are off. Beacon and navs are already on. Next, just can go full rich. We should be able to start this now without any issues, but the REP does cause issues restarting the aircraft, so we'll go clear prop left. Yeah, so it wants us to prime it again, which is incorrect. So we just had the engine on, and this is a feature of the REP which still hasn't been fixed. Is you don't need to prime the engine when we've just been running it. We do it slightly, but we won't do it with the props full forward, or the manifold full forward. We'll just do it with it idle. No, it wants us to do it with it forward, so this is unrealistic operation. If you'd been in a cold and dark state, maybe you would need to do it, but not when you've been running the engine for about an hour. And the right side, clear right. So we need to do the same there. Okay. Let's try and get this correct. Panicking, panicking. There we go. And she comes alive just in time as the horde closes in. Taxi lights, alternators, avionics on. Now we can plan our next departure. So now we have got a bit of spare time. They are moving in quick. We've got 77 miles here to KFKL, which is Franklin Airport. I hope that's, yeah, Venango Regional, which is the airport we need to get to next to pick up the pilot. It saved my flight plan there, I've noticed. KFKL. Yes, we need to clear all of that off. KF Kilo Lima. Same Fairfield moves, all different names for that. Oh right, I put KFFL, that's my fault. So we'd probably all be eaten. KFKL. I can't remember the alphabet. Come on. KFKL. Pretty sure we put that the first time. If it's not recognising it, there we go. Venango Regional. And we'll be going directly to it. Good. Okay, now we head back to the west, folks. So, parking brake off. You can see the engines should be in a warm state, which they are. Which means we don't have to do the run-up, because of course we've already done it for the flight today. We are going to give the rudder a little bit of a warm-up though before we get to the runway, because it's been super sensitive. Let's get the go around button pushed so we have a 10 degrees pitch up. Nose attitude, ailerons are all functional, elevators. And of course the 2 kids and the wife on board. Let's hope that the pilot is not dead when we get there. Back to the runway. I hope this is not the right way, is it? I hope that's the right way, but it isn't. No, we're going down Lima, the wrong taxiway. Let's turn it round. No mistake there. You notice I'm keeping the transponder in altitude the whole time. There really is, since everybody's been eaten and, you know, I'm Grantham CPT. I mean, it's just typical, isn't it? Grantham CPT survives, but everyone else has been eaten. Kind of enjoyable, really. The end of the world stuff, this end of the world stuff, I'm quite enjoying it. It's alright. That's why I'm keeping the transponder in altitude all the time, because I know nobody's going to tell me off. Everybody's gone, haven't they? So let's go left here. Bit of a quick taxi. We've got to be careful on that in case we flip her over. If you do go too fast taxiing, you're better off just using differential braking to turn it rather than you turning the rudder. I mean, that's not the ideal way to do it, but you can do that if you're going too fast. Thanks for the comments on the landing. I'm glad we made it this far, and the story about Dawn of the Dead hasn't really ended yet. The post-production phase and like the legacy that it would leave in the following decades after 1978 is quite remarkable. As I say, it is one of the highest grossing movies of all time. If a film released today and it made that much of a profit with that little of a budget, it would be probably the, you know, highest grossing film. And I don't know what the highest grossing film is, but I'm sure it's something silly like Titanic or something. So strobes coming on, landing lights. We don't need any flaps. We're at a pretty big airport here. We are keeping our ears and eyes out for planes though, because we're not the only survivors in the skies today. There most likely probably is other people with the same idea, until they run out of fuel, of course. Okay, there we go. So established. We're going to climb straight up to 9,000 feet. Hopefully I don't forget this time. Okay, nice smooth departure there. Landing lights can come off. Let's get the cow flaps on nice and early this time so the CHT gets above 150. That's probably why it didn't do it last time. We would see that turn out. The yaw damper is indeed on. Now we're going to pick up Venango Regional. I think he's called Mark, the pilot. I haven't really touched on base with him for a while. We were good friends for, years ago, but now we just don't talk to each other. Now the end of the world's come, we're back into contact. He's not got a plane, I've got a plane. This is my own private plane today. So see you later, suckers. Enjoy it. I suppose that's a cocky thing to do, and then we probably would get eaten after that, wouldn't we? The cocky ones always die. Don't get too cocky. Don't be that guy who's hiding in the toilets while your mates get eaten by zombies. Okay, so navigation on and vertical speed. Good. And then autopilot engaged, so we're a little bit off course. We didn't set standard pressure as well because of course there's no one else to share the airspace with at the moment. Although I think we probably should, just for the sake of keeping things semi-realistic. Okay, we can bring the props back to 2500. A little bit late on that, but I was waiting for the CHT to come up. It still doesn't seem to be going very high today at all. Let's start leading our mixtures, maybe that would help. I'm just going to lead them all the way back to 16.5 to save us some time. Yeah, and then the Hopefully that warms it up. There we go, we got a mild crosswind there. About 15 knots. Yeah, so the story continues, folks. When Dawn of the Dead was released, post-production, it received a number of recuts which we talked about, mostly because, you know, Argento had the rights to edit the film for international foreign language release, including, of course, Italian, which is in the native language. Romero controlled the final cut for the English language territories, which is nice to see that cooperation there between directors, and the level of trust as well. To trust someone with the entire foreign language cut is quite something, and probably not something you would see today. Or if you do see it today, it's probably it's because the film isn't very good to begin with. But this film is a very classic one, as we know, one of the best ever made, as we read earlier. Been awarded many times for the best film, one of the best at least in its categories. Romero was the editor. He completed a hasty 139-minute version for the now known as extended for the previously erroneous director's cut for the premiere at the 1978 Cannes film market. Later pared down to 126 for the US theatrical release. The US theatrical cut of the film earned the taboo rating of X because of its graphic violence. If rejected this rating, Romero and the producers chose to release the film unrated to help the film's commercial success. That's very, very good. Argento controlled the Eurocut for non-English speaking countries. The version he created clocked in at 119 minutes, so just under 2 hours. It included changes such as more music from Goblin, the cuts complete by Romero removal, and some expository scenes, and a faster cutting pace. Some of this writing is not that great, to be fair, but I guess we're getting the general gist of things. However, there are extra lines of dialogue and gore shots that are not in either of Romero edits. That's very, very interesting, and that's probably one of the biggest factors that these films weren't allowed. But if they were made today, and it was the exact same film, they'd be released probably with just an 8, maybe a 15 rating, because nowadays it's not as difficult to get these films released. There are really just disgusting films nowadays. There are 18s which are 18 for a good reason, but then there are other films which are also just as bad, which have a 15 rating, which I think should have an 18 rating. One of those would be the 28 Years Later movie. Now, the themes in that and the whole frightening opening scene alone is worth an 18 rating. I did talk about it previously, but yeah, this one got, back then it was just more taboo, I think, to have a gory, scary movie, so therefore it was condemned to some extent, and those who watched it were probably labelled as weirdos. Probably. And Argento's cut did debut nearly 9 months before the US theatrical cut. Dawn of the Dead was released under different names in Europe. Here's 9,000 feet. Good thing I remembered. Mixers lean, props are set. Manifold can stay where it is. We should be good. Yeah, released under different names in Europe. In Italy it was known as Zombie, aka Zombies Dawn of the Living Dead. Followed in March 1979 in France as Zombie, and then a lot of foreign words I can't pronounce, or also known in English as Zombie Twilight of the Dead. And I think Romero was planning to make, or there was a lot of conspiracies after Romero did his last film of the 6 films. After he released Survival of the Dead, there was theories going around that he'd make another one, and I think Twilight of the Dead was one of those names. I would love to have seen a 7th movie from him, and I think there was an intention to do that, because I've actually got a book by him but it was finished by another writer. I don't know if that's his work or not, but it seems like there was definitely intention. I know that Romero said himself that he didn't want to because there was no point and there was no market for it, and that films had changed quite a lot, which is true. They have changed a lot, and for the reasons I've mentioned, they're not very good nowadays. People are not very creative. Even the zombie films that are released are not very good, and they're not proper zombies. It's very, very hard to get a proper zombie film where they are slow in this George Romero style. I can only think of Shaun of the Dead. I can't think of any others. Most zombie films after that period were fast zombies. Following, of course, you know, the 28 Days Later, and then everything became about fast zombies, although again there's more arguments there. People argue about whether the 28 Days Later zombies are actually zombies or just infected people and not actually dead. It's crazy. Culture's changed so much, and I remember in 2000, like in the 2000s, and it sounds like such a long time ago. I really feel like I'm getting old now. But I do remember it very clearly, going to the video stores and being able to rent these movies. As a kid, I say it as a kid because the reality is, you know, the parents had to rent it on your behalf. But yeah, now we don't have that. We just have digitalized stuff. In German, the film by Constantin Film is known as Zombie, and in Denmark as Zombie: The Morning of Horrors. Dawn of the Dead was successful internationally. Its success in then West Germany earned it the Golden Screen Award, given to films that have at least 3 million admissions within the last 18 months of release. Yeah, interesting actually. This was released in the 78, of course, when the Berlin Wall existed and when we had the Soviet Union. So really, times have changed dramatically, and America was untouched by it because it was post-war then, wasn't it? It was building up. It was building up to what it would be today, although it still had many, many issues with racism in particular, which is one of the things that Dawn of the Dead touches on quite a bit actually. It touches on racism, touches on sexism, and the whole idea that a female can be a powerful, independent woman, which is very nicely portrayed, I have to say. And if anybody's read the book of the movie, I have, and it does include different dialogues and different stories in it, which are very, very insightful into the characters. The freelance photographer Richard Burke, working for Pittsburgh Magazine, released in May 2010 the first exclusive behind-the-scenes photos from the sets. Wow, 1978 to 2010. Over, what's that, 30 years? 30 years to get behind-the-scenes photos. Wow, that's a very, very special thing. Theatrical releases in 1978 said some of the first, and we read about those. 119 minute, the theatrical cut was 119 minutes. In Japan, it immediately topped the box office there. Incredible. In 2004, after numerous VHS, Laserdisc and DVD releases of several different versions of the film from various companies, Anchor Bay Entertainment released a definitive, unlimited, Ultimate Edition DVD box set of Dawn of the Dead. And actually now, it may come up with it later on in the story, but I'm pretty sure they re-released it again on Blu-ray and 4K. Following that, yeah, so they released it a lot of stuff back then. Yeah, Blu-ray was released by Anchor Bay on October the 7th, 2007 in the US. In the United Kingdom by Arrow Video as well. I have the Arrow Video version, folks, of Dawn of the Dead. It's not even a Blu-ray version, it's just standard definition, and it still looks fantastic. I think it is actually. I prefer the standard edition because it's more gritty, I think. Arrow Video, very well known if you're interested in horror media. They do all sorts from standard to 4K Blu-rays and things like that. In November 2016, Cog Media, under the Midnight Factory line, released a 6-disc collector's edition Blu-ray package for the Italian market. This release includes Argento's cut in 4K Ultra HD format, as well as the original 1851 theatrical frame in the 1331 full frame of the Argento cut. So basically different measurements for the screen there, different sizes. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Oh no, here it is. In November 2020, the British home media distributor Second Sight Films released a limited edition box set of the film in separate Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray formats, featuring the theatrical cans and Argento cut of the film. For this release, all 3 cuts were remastered and restored in 4K resolution. The theatrical and cans versions presented in the 4K Blu-ray sets in HDR10+, so very advanced technology there to bring those old films into the present. And I don't own that, but I did look at it at the time and it was something I was interested in. Just the price, I think. I have all the DVDs, but I don't have them all on Blu-ray. I have them all on standard definition with the exception of Land of the Dead, and I do have the special 4K edition of that. One of the films they haven't done yet on Blu-ray is Day of the Dead, and I don't think they probably will. Just getting hold of the actual film itself seems to be very difficult. I didn't know this, it's had a 3D release. It was begun in 2007 under the supervision of Rubinstein. I hope I'm saying that correct. Completed in 2013 at a report of $6 million to make a 3D version of the film. That's more than the original budget, by like 6 times. And it was premiered in October 2013 at the Busan International Film Festival, and an international release, like wider release, in 2022. I've never seen the 3D version of Dawn of the Dead, but I would love to see it. Now getting into those facts and figures, let's just check what we're doing on the flight. So everything's good. Has wind changed any at all? Still sort of a crosswind. Ah, there's our airport, Venango Regional, so that was super quick. May as well get descending then, folks. Now we're going to be picking up the pilot. Let's bring those propellers back. I'm going to bring the manifold back as well. Make sure this can go full rich for this. Yeah, we're literally right there. Based on the wind, we're probably going to need a runway 3. So it looks like nav GPS is the only option. Let's go into heading mode. So he wants us to sort of go far out. Oh yeah, I see. He wants to do is like a procedure turn, so we may as well just clear that off. And we'll just fly directly to it. Its box office numbers anyway performed well thanks to both commercial advertising and word of mouth. And it was a pop, like a cultural icon, a cultural success. Became a cult icon, so word of mouth would have been probably the major way of getting people to see it. It would have got fantastic reviews. It would have been the hottest movie at the time, and it would have been the one that all the teens and the kids and the young adults were talking about. Probably kids too as well. And it would have just been the cool thing to get involved with and watch, and everybody would have been telling the friends to watch it, and it would have been advertised in shops, and you would have gone to the store and you would have seen a poster for it. For example, you would have seen adverts on TV for the trailer. Yeah, quite extensive. I mean, I'm not an American, but I already know that the advertising over there is pretty extensive, and it always has been. Ad campaigns and posters, see, declared the film the most intensely shocking motion picture experience for all times. The film earned $900,000 on its opening weekend, which basically is the entire budget plus bonus points. After 4 weeks, it grossed $5.1 million in the United States and Canada, and went on to gross $16 million with rentals of $6.8 million. Of course, I was talking about it earlier, but back when we had VHS rentals, and it would have been VHS back then, the old tapes which you had to rewind. Interesting. I actually I think VHS has made a slight comeback as well. People still releasing VHS tapes nowadays, especially well-known films, like really popular films are getting VHS releases. I suppose there are people though in the world still using VHS and cassettes. Either way, rentals of 6.8 million is extremely impressive. That means that like, imagine every blockbuster every weekend would just not have the film in at all, and you probably had to book it out because they probably didn't have I mean, maybe they had plenty of copies of it, maybe they didn't. It'd be interesting to know what they did to supply people. Grossed 1.5 million in 6 Japanese cinemas over a period of 42 days. Wow. And over $1 million in Italy. In October '79, it grossed 24 million worldwide, an international gross of 49 million, so the numbers just keep getting higher and higher. Over a year, 49 million. Yeah, gives it a worldwide total of 66 million. Jesus. Making it the most profitable film in the Dead series, and I think just one of the most profitable films ever made. Rotten Tomatoes, a review aggregator, reports 92% of 59 surveyed critics gave the film a positive review. I'd say that number is much higher because the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb seem to be more towards like 100%. But of course that was back then. The average rating is 8.7. I'll have to double check that. Let me double check it now. What are we doing at altitude? 5,000. We are getting to the airport. I have got time to check this. Okay, so it is in fact at 92%. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure in the past it's been at 99 or even 100%. The remake in 2004 has 77%, which I think is probably fair. Yeah, it really does have set 92% on the ratings. Let me read one of these reviews here. So we got one from 2024. Alright, you have to pay for the content. Unbelievable. You have to pay to read a review, folks. Then we got one from 16th of September. Another article which let me read it. Actually, it's from a free website, I think. Quite a long review. Yeah, I can't read all that. I think the general gist is that that was his peak and that he wouldn't make as good a film after that. Let's get the autopilot off. I do disagree though. I do think his later films were great. I really enjoyed Land of the Dead. It has a similar kind of theme. Some similar themes in it. I really enjoyed his later films. I know people don't like them as much, but they still have... They're still really ahead of the time. Survival of the Dead with the... no, not Survival. Diary of the Dead, that was it, with the cameras, was really ahead of its time in 2007. Because back then, people didn't used to film everything on the phones and cameras, and it was only later on would they actually go on to become social media things, and people would post everything that happened in their lives. Let's go ahead and put our props fully forward. We're sort of just keeping an eye out for the airport. I got a feeling this is a small airport, folks. Yeah, so that later sort of social cultural phenomenon of people just posting everything and anything online was really picked up by Romero back then, and I think he understood the situation very well, although it was using handheld camcorders and movie making gear, wasn't it? Okay, landing lights are on, props and mixed are full forward. Let's try and slow down a bit, and we'll try and drop a notch of flaps. I'm hoping we can see the runway soon. Saying it's right on our left hand side. Ah, there it is. So we've got visual. Let's get the gear down. Let's get flaps. One notch of flaps. Well, we're down. Coming in very high then. But we survived it. Let's get this pilot on board and let's see if he's going to be much use during this flight. So strobes and flaps coming up. He said he's going to be waiting, and now we should have enough fuel there to get us to Buffalo. But he said he's going to be waiting at the hold point, so I think he's down there. Let's get the cow flaps open. Yeah, a little bit high, but I think overall decent on the landing. I like to hear that screech at the end. Yeah, this airport's gone. There's nobody here. There's a few stationary planes. Quite a big airport, actually. My first time here. I'll have to taxi back then. Suppose that's what happens when you leave it late. What altitude is this airport as well? We're still at 1400 feet on standard pressure. Yeah, we sort of came in. That's not too bad on the approach. We did get it established. It was just the altitude we needed to work on. So this is 1500 feet 3014 on the QNH. Say about there, isn't it? Yeah, I can see him. He stood at the taxiway there, thank God. I hope he's not got too much baggage on board. Then again, he said he's not going to bring anything with him. Thanks for the support. Really appreciate the comments on the landings. We aren't going to be watching the replays because realistically we don't have any replays in real life. We don't even have our tablet to look up the flights, the airport layout or the departures, etc., because we're not doing them today. It's just all VFR, and thank goodness we've been blessed with clear weather. Engines are pretty good. There's been no hiccups at all today with the performance. Well, there was a little bit of a performance issue, but not anything to be too worried about. Fuel, quarter of a tank on each. We're going to be using one flap for departure because we're going to be pretty heavily loaded. I think we're going to have to turn the engines off, aren't we, to get this guy on board. Let's go ahead and hold here and get him on the aircraft. We only have to do a short engine shutdown, so we can turn the avionics off. Do this pretty quickly. So here's the whole point. Here he is. Be kind, everybody. He's gonna hop in the cockpit with me. There we go. We'll probably have to prime the engine again, so he's going in the front with me. There we go. And fuel wise, we'll just leave it there. It's already slightly heavier. Welcome on board, Mark. Glad you survived it. Didn't think we were gonna make it. And of course he wants us to do this again. I really want the REP guy to fix that. Oh, mixture's fully rich. Yeah, he needs to fix that with the engine start thing. If it's been on already, it shouldn't need priming. Have we got an engine problem? No, we haven't. But it does sound very odd when it's restarting like that. It sounds like it is braking a little bit. Fuel, so even though we had fuel going around the engines then and it's warm, it still needs priming. Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. And that's coming online. Good, that was pretty simple. Landing lights on. Strobes on, avionics on. Now we got a final destination, so it wants us to go all the way up 106 miles to Buffalo. KBUF, Buffalo Cheetah. KBUF, right. We'll program this in now, we got a little bit of time spare. There she is. Never been to Niagara Falls on this. Never been to Niagara Falls. So this is going to be a nice trip. Being haunted by zombies at the same time. Incredible. Flight controls. 3 incorrect. Mark, I want you to do me a solid and tell me when we get to 9,500 feet this time. And also, I would like you to set standard pressure for me. He seems to have already done it on his side, so he's on the ball. Let's get the go around button pushed. Let's get lined up first before we do anything. Let's try and get the plane established. 1 notch of flaps, just because we're slightly heavy today and I feel like it. Trim is good. And a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. Good, 80 knots and rotate. Positive rate there, Mark. Get the gear up, please. Your damp's coming on. We are the captain of this journey today, so we're gonna choose and use the autopilot nice and early, and we're also going to close the cowl flaps manually ourselves. We got a headwind. Have we got a headwind? That was not too bad of a arrival and departure there. So there she is, Franklin, aka Venango Regional. And there's Niagara Falls. I can see it already. It's already on the map. So it's not long, folks. 100 miles is nothing for the Baron. We'll be there in no time. And our story continues once again. The critical success of the film, 92%, and it's still at 92%. I think that's what is referenced in the current score of Dawn of the Dead film. Chicago Sun-Times gave it 4 out of 4 stars and proclaimed it one of the best horror films ever made. We concur with that statement. Wow. In fact, let's just go back to the Rotten Tomatoes. The critical consensus, one of the most compelling and entertaining zombie films ever made. Dawn of the Dead perfectly blends pure horror and gore with social commentary on material society. And it really is just like more relevant than ever. Is it society though that is really material and greedy, or is it the companies that are material and greedy? Because they're the ones that are so obsessed with it. So really, it's not the consumer that's at fault here, it's probably the companies themselves. Well, many of them act illegally and there's no reprimand for it. But of course, society's still greedy, we are still very greedy, we take things we don't need, we have usually too much. I'm in a place now where I feel comfortable, where I feel I have the right amount of material items. I don't have too much and I don't have too little, that's for sure. I have everything I need to keep me occupied. And I have enough to keep me surviving, which is probably the only thing we really do need, truly. Although humans do need entertainment, social interaction, so... you know, a TV is probably an essential item that everybody has. It's not something that everybody has, but I'm talking about like the modern developed world. Most people probably have a PC or a laptop. Most people probably have a gaming console if you're into that sort of stuff. Most people probably have some kind of books. You know, people have stuff at home they keep them so I guess material wise we're still pretty gone. We've condemned ourselves to hell pretty much. Although not so much as some of these YouTubers. Roger Ebert was of the Chicago Sunday Times, and he's a gentleman I believe has been reviewing films for quite a long time now. He seems to be a respected voice in the field. He did say it was nobody ever said art had to be in good taste. That's true, very true, and Dawn of the Dead is very gruesome and very cutting edge for the time, and at the time it came out it was probably had quite a strong shock factor. Nowadays people are used to seeing a lot worse, so it probably wouldn't have the same effect. showcasing explicit gore and horror and turning them into a form of art. There's been worse things done in society. There's been worse things done in movies. There's been horrible movies which probably shouldn't have been made, but they have been. Dawn of the Dead is not the worst. It's just the era it came out in. There's not many people talking about those other themes that I mentioned about the racism and sexism. Nobody's really touching on that. They're so. I think that's part of the film's magic and genius. Really, is the main theme is obviously consumerism and this sort of over-consumed, over-greedy society and having too much they don't need. And I think people focus on that so much and the zombies that they don't realise that there are other things happening. I think that's actually part of a bigger meaning to the film in general. Is that look over here, we have these problems, but actually over here we got these other problems, and we don't want to deal with them. I guess that's actually a really good way of saying it. So it's almost like hidden in plain sight sort of thing. I'm going to keep reading these. Wow, somebody. So some people have actually given it bad reviews. Then again, it was of NBC, so not surprised. Variety attacked the film's writing. Okay, this is interesting. Suggested that the violence and gore detract from any development of the characters. I disagree. I think there's good development there, and if you do read the accompanying book, then you'll be able to read about those characters. Thanks, Mark. We are at 9,500 feet. So let's go ahead and level off. We sort of stalled, and I think that's what's happened. We stalled, didn't we? My mistake, getting too distracted. So 2,500. We've got a little bit over 9. About 9.5. We'll leave everything where it is. We'll leave the mixtures. If we can get the aircraft stable to 16 gallons, 0.5 an hour. Yeah, I'm interested to know why Variety would disrespect it. Then again, I mean, these are sort of like good examples of consumerism and being zombified to things. Things like Variety, those kind of magazines. And the NBC's Today Show, for example, they're not the most intelligent of things, are they? They're like, they're just gossip. It's just not the most in-depth thing. I don't even know how to describe them. They're not very smart things. They're not very. You don't need to think much when you read or watch them. Basically, just mind garbage, mind garbage for the mind. So yeah, they said, and there's the autopilot again. They said it was uninteresting, results in loss of impact. Variety wrote, Dawn pummels the viewer with a series of more grisly events, shootings, knifings, flesh tearings, and make Ramirez's special effects man Tom Savini the real star of the film. The actors are woodenly uninteresting as the characters they play. In contrast to the truly frightening Night of the Living Dead, you begin to laugh with relief that you're not being emotionally challenged or even affected. Dawn of the Dead is just a gross out. Okay. So there is some people there who don't like it. Mostly Variety, it seems like. I mean, the facts and figures we read before speak for themselves. It really is one of the most iconic and best made zombie films ever made. I'm so glad we got to fly this route today in memory of it. It's not gone anywhere, of course. You can still watch it, and I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it yet. I would definitely disagree with their statement because it's been written about, it's been analysed multiple times. The themes are very, very strong. The themes are very, very clear as well. And there is some development in there on social commentary. Empire magazine, of course, they support it. They put it in the 500 greatest movies of all time in 2008. One of the best 1,000 movies ever made. I'd probably put it, yeah, top 500 easy. Probably even the top 100 movies ever made. 25th anniversary issue of Fangoria named it the best horror film of 1979. Yeah, although it was released a year earlier. And Entertainment Weekly ranked it 27 on a list of top 50 cult films. That's pretty high up. That's very high up, actually. 27. I was expecting maybe a little bit higher, but then again, Night of the Living Dead and Day of the Dead may be on that list too. As recently as 2024, Pace magazine ranked Dawn of the Dead number 8 in its list of the 100 greatest horror movies. Yeah, so that's more realistic. 2024, number 8 out of 100. I'd agree with that. As long as it's in the top 50, that's probably fair. Yeah, and then the George Romero and Susanna Sparrow's paperback book based on the film was released in 1978, and that's the one I have. And if you are a big fan of the film, you want to know just a bit more and you want to read about it, then I'd say get the book. It does have a good introduction by Simon Pegg, which was released in 2015 and reissued again in 2020. There's only one thing left for us to do, folks, and that is A, get to Buffalo, Niagara Falls with my family and pilot, friend Mark, and myself. And of course we'll watch the trailer. How can we go through it without watching the trailer? Seems unheard of. We'll watch the original high definition trailer from 1978. Well, let's do it, folks. Let's watch Dawn of the Dead trailer. Hopefully you should be able to see it.
experience for all times.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill. This situation must be controlled before it's too late. They are multiplying too rapidly.
Dawn of the Dead.
Meet me on the roof at 9 o'clock. Get out.
I don't believe it.
We're gonna get out in the chopper. We've got to survive. Somebody's got to survive.
They kill for one reason. They kill for food. They eat their victims.
Imagine, if you will, that something has gone terribly wrong.
Shoot it, man.
Now, accept the fact that there's no escaping the horrible consequences. George Romero brings back the dead. Night of the Living Dead has ended. Dawn of the Dead is here.
We must not be lulled by the concept that these are our family members or our friends. They are not. They will not respond to such emotions.
Operator dead. Post a ban. We may never get out of the room. It's everywhere. What the hell is it?
Looks like a shopping center, one of those big indoor malls.
What are they doing? Why do they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do. This was an important place in their lives.
What is it?
We've got a war.
I'm afraid.
We have spawned our own savagery. Soon, it will consume us all. It is a horrible, hauntingly accurate vision of the mindless excesses of a society gone mad.
They must be destroyed on sight.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
We are down to the line, folks. We are down to the line.
Dawn of the Dead.
Wow, what? Wow. What a throwback. I was not born then, but I appreciate the original trailer, and you notice there's no gore in it either, so they really were cautious back then on trailers as well. I guess they are nowadays, but I feel like they would show some blood nowadays. That's really cool to see. And no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Such an iconic line. It's been used over and over again in so many zombie films and games and just culture in general. We saw then though that they do mention about the culture society going mad and being entirely focused on consumerism. Again, just super relevant today. I think today we're actually more self-obsessed and consumerized than we believe, because we have to. Well, I think it's also partly because the companies, they put people into a position where we have to consume from them. They take the products, they take the stuff we need. So the only true way to be non-consumerized nowadays would be to not buy any of the products and not to support these companies, to grow your own food, not buy any technical things like phones or computers, and just go and live off the land and be free from it. Leave these guys in the company to rot in their fat sacks. There's the autopilot. How are we doing on time here? So we have got to 18 minutes. We're not actually going as fast as I thought we would. I thought we'd be going a bit faster than this. We're only going barely 160 indicated, but we are almost there. Oh, I see, ground speed 179, so we're going pretty fast. Again, not the longest of journeys from Monroe today, from Pittsburgh up to Buffalo. It's over the border of Canada, isn't it? Greater Rochester, Niagara Falls International. So we're not actually going to International, we're going to Buffalo, Niagara. Well, we are. It's called International, but we're not going to the actual international one. We're going to this secondary one over here. Fantastic. It's so close. So close, and I've never seen it before. Again, no idea if it's actually been modelled. Let's get down then to 6,000 feet and see if we can see it when we pass over. I'm not too sure. Not too sure what to expect. I also have to fly over the Grand Canyon at some point. Once again, folks, if you haven't watched the film, I do highly recommend it. I recommend you watch all the George Romero films if you're a zombie fan or a horror fan, or if you're just a fan of good films in general. They start way back in the 60s and they go all the way up to 2010. So you have about 50, 60 years of material there to work with, plus books, plus, you know, just a ton of videos on YouTube revisiting the Monroeville Mall. And we should actually look at that together, the Monroeville Mall, as it is today though, because it's been changed over the years. Some parts have been taken down completely, others are still standing. Yeah, JC Penney's still there, wow. So some of those brands that if you've seen the film, some of those brands from the movie are actually still alive and well, still making profit, it seems, which is not surprising. The film was an unintentional advert for those companies, which is a shame, to be fair. There's a post here from 7 months ago. It says, "Rest in peace, Monroeville Mall." It must have closed down. They must have closed down the whole thing. And then comments are, "Hope they keep a small piece of it in the new place as a memorial to Dawn of the Dead." So they must have got rid of the old building at Monroeville and built a new shopping centre, or closed the old parts. That's a shame. Yeah, Pittsburgh Magazine, and this is from 2025. "Is it true the Monroeville Mall headed for the Wrecking Ball?" Hope not. This is the post. I'm just going to fly the plane a little bit first. Level her off at 7,500 feet. Let's read this article together from Pittsburgh Magazine. Lots of unanswered questions, including the future of the Living Dead Museum regarding Pittsburgh's largest mall. They even have their own museum dedicated to it, and there'll be plaques on the walls at the mall where you can see, and there'll be pictures most likely of the filming that took place there. The news spread like a California wildfire on social media, Reddit, Nextdoor and more. Even the New York Times published a 1,200-word story about it. Could it be true? Had Walmart, the newish owner of the Monroeville Mall, really applied for a state grant to demolish the 56-year-old complex? At this point, it's probably becoming a World Heritage Site. It really is. The Dawn of the Dead shopping mall is a World Heritage. It's like a cultural phenomenon. I think it deserves to stay, but we'll read what it says. The region's largest mall with 120 tenants. Home of the Living Dead Museum, and we could check that out as well. So it looks like this company is attempting to demolish a part of history, ironically, which was about consumerism. So I guess that makes sense. They want to get rid of it. They don't want people smart enough to stop shopping there, so they want to get rid of all references to it. Makes sense. They purchased the mall for $34 million, seeking a $7.5 million from the state's redevelopment assistance capital program to demolish it. So that is just pure corporate greed, folks. This is why that film, Dawn of the Dead, is so special. It's everybody's dead in that mall. It's just zombies, and there's 4 survivors. But the shops are still there, and the companies are still there. Not damaged at all, are they? Not affected by it, really. They will all be off in their mansions. They won't be trapped in the mall. You know, dead, zombified. So the name Underwall, yeah. So this company, which can afford $34 million for a property, is now seeking $7.5 million from the government. Basically, they want the public to pay for their demolition program, which hasn't been approved yet. I mean, it's just total greed. Total greed. They can clearly afford that themselves, but they want to get money for it to do it. Unbelievable. Modern mixed-use destination that strengthens the regional economy. Blah blah blah. At this time, 1.2 million square foot mall would be demolished, creating an open-air shopping centre. Number of customers has declined over the years. That's a shame if they are going to knock it down. It seems uncertain at the moment though, so I guess now really is the time to go and visit. If you're in America and you like this film Dawn of the Dead, go now, because it might not be there in the future. It might genuinely not be there. It's a cultural phenomenon. It's a fantastic film. There's plenty of stuff there. You got a museum. It's just a very memorable place. And again, you can watch YouTube videos on it from years ago as well. Cinematic important cinema history here, which is true, it is very important. It's groundbreaking stuff. Monroeville Mall was the primary filming location for George Romero's 1978 Dawn of the Dead. So it's now home to the Living Dead Museum, which honours zombies in film and pop culture. I think that's fantastic. Zombies are a real niche market as well. Horror in general is really popular, but zombies, zombie apocalypse stuff, that is getting into a niche and very not as large of a market as it is for general horror. So it's now home, yes, to the museum which honours it. The Walking Museum opens year-round. Open year-round, is located in the upper floor near JCPenney, and I would love to go there myself, but it's just too far. I can't honestly afford to get to America at this point, which is a shame. I'd love to see it. Museum has exhibits dedicated to other pop culture zombies, including the cabin set used in Evil Dead 2. Nice. And a statue of Michael Jackson in his red Thriller costume. Other productions filmed in Monroeville Mall have space in the museum, like a room devoted to 27... Ah, okay. So it's open to various things as well. It's not just one. The museum once was located in Evans City, site of Romero's original Night of the Living Dead movie, released in '68. Okay, so just a bit of info there on it. Looks like this certainly is an uncertain future for the site of the museum. Maybe they could relocate it, but I think having it on the mall itself is still very special, and that's something they shouldn't take away. So here we are, we're actually coming into Buffalo already. Let's get the autopilot off. I'll do this hand flown. Let's bring those props back to maybe 1900, just try and idle them a little bit. Bring the manifold back a bit. Mixture can go full rich. Yeah, it's gone quick, this trip. There it is, KBUF. You know what, let's get autopilot back on. We'll just use the vertical speed. Just want to maintain at 1,000 feet a minute, which we're kind of at the moment. Fuel's getting into the yellow zone at last. Done pretty well actually, not to... Then again, I did refuel at that other airport. I was just going to say we did well not to run out. Aircraft seems to be burning more than we're planning for lately, which is always a concern. We're going to make it though. We still have... We're not quite in the yellow. We still have a good 20 gallons there to deal with. So if you look here, each mark is about 20 gallons. So it's maybe... Is it 20 or 10? 20, 40... Yeah, it must be 10. So 10, 20... You know, 30, 40, 50 gallons each or something like that. I don't know if that's right. Let's check down here. So 83 gallons in each, which is how much we have. How much we can put in. 83 gallons. So yeah, it must be 20, 40, 60, 80 gallons in each. I think that's right. Or 10. I keep getting mixed up. Don't want to keep thinking about numbers at a time like this, not when the dead are after us. Wow, welcome to Buffalo. Still got flaps down, that's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Probably why we're not going so fast this flight. Oh wait, no, I didn't have the flaps up, I put them down again. Excuse me. Yeah, I put them down for the descent. Even though we're going too fast, let's bring our speed back. Some embarrassing mistakes. I am a pilot, I reassure you. Wonder how easy it would be to get a plane, even if you weren't a pilot, to get into the air. I feel safer up here. I feel like we're not going to get eaten. Believe it or not, we're at Buffalo, but tonight, well, we'll still be in Pennsylvania. I'll be going back to Pennsylvania tonight and trying to loot some more stuff. We might even find ourselves in New York. In No More Room in Hell. So see you on that one, folks. That'll be interesting. I can't see Niagara Falls. Maybe we should keep the flaps up actually until we get a bit closer. Just remembered as well, I've got a craving for a helicopter flight. Today, probably not the best. Plane covers this distance much quicker. Look at that train track down there. Completely dead. There's no zombies, but there's also no people as well on it. That would be a death zone getting out. Let me know in comments, folks. What's your name and favourite name or favourite film, and the name of your favourite zombie film. Didn't word that correctly, but it'll be alright. Let me know your favourite zombie film in the comments below. Favourite TV show, favourite game, etc. It doesn't have to be a film. For me, as I say, Dawn and Day of the Dead, two of the great ones. There are others on that list. When it comes to gaming, it's very hard to pick one, to be fair, but I really enjoyed Left 4 Dead. I'm sure many people did. Let's plan for our arrival. So we have a slight wind, maybe number 32 for landing. Yeah, runway 32. So let's get prepped. You can see the airport ahead. There she is, and then there's 32. So we're coming into base, and then we're coming to final. This is excellent, actually, for an approach. Try and descend. Oh, we are descending slightly. That's my mistake. Gonna say descend down to 2,000. We'll go down a little bit more. If you are new to the Baron, get used to the default one before you try the REP. Because the REP will make the aircraft feel a lot heavier, and it really will feel like a proper plane. It's quite heavy on the controls. You know, a twin piston is a heavy aircraft. It's not like a single piston. If you're new to twin pistons in general, just go with the default planes because they're not as difficult, but they're still very challenging to land. Okay, we're going to slow down a bit more now. Let's get our props fully forward. Our mixtures are rich. Let's get our yaw damper off and our landing lights on. We could probably turn off the stall warning heat as well. So there she is, coming in at a little bit of an angle, a little bit fast. Let's try and slow it down. That's 2000. Let's take it outbound actually, and then we'll come back. We'll come back for final. Sort of extend this downwind to some extent. That might help the approach. There we go, we are still descending. Let's turn. Okay, coming down. One notch of flaps. That'll be fine, as long as we're aligned with the runway. Height is not too much of a problem. You notice today we are coming in higher. I think that's just something I should say now, is I'd like to come in a little bit high in the Baron. I always do. It's nice to get it perfect, but we're not doing an ILS. We're doing a visual approach. For me, it just gives you a little bit of leeway with speed. You can pitch down and get, you don't have to worry too much then about altitude. If we were lower down, we wouldn't be able to pitch down so steep. It's just overall better, I think. You can see there we sort of came in at the right altitude anyway. There's a touchdown zone, so let's reduce power. Okay, we're down. I was going to try and keep it held off there, but we sort of skimmed down a bit too hard at the end. Well, we're there. We made it. We've escaped a zombie-infested Pittsburgh. We escaped from the zombies, and now we're in Buffalo, where there is some salvation. We're going to make our way to the safe zone and hopefully get fed and watered and get told what the next steps in this evacuation process are. We've rescued our family. We've rescued our friend David, Mark, excuse me. No, not David. We forgot David. Damn, I forgot David. He's dead now. So we've rescued Mark and my family. I think we need to get over here for the FEMA control, etc. The CDC, they want to do some tests on us, the strobes. And because we're a pilot, we actually get treated a little bit differently. So they probably won't even swab us. They just let us pass straight in. Somewhere over here, is it? I think it's this one on the right. It's where that aircraft is. Cow flaps are open. CHT was pretty cool that entire journey. Pretty impressed with that. Yeah, this is it. This is the rendezvous point for the evacuation. It's good to be safe, and it's a happy ending, folks. We didn't die. We all like happy endings on this channel. So there we go, avionics and fuel cut off. Since we're going to do a we're going to leave the plane here, I think. I do have to fly later on, but I'm going to put the idle, feather the props. You don't have to do these, you don't even have to turn the beacon off. I just want to, you don't have to turn the prop sync off either. I'm just doing it to make sure nobody takes the plane while we're getting checked in, etc. So welcome, family. Welcome. It sounds like a rented family, doesn't it? One of those Japanese things. We're there. We made it. Let's chuck the plane up. Some X-Plane 12 chucks there. Really, really good actually for holding it in place. That's it. I really enjoyed the flight. I hope you've enjoyed learning and listening about the Dawn of the Dead film with me. And it's really good to just nostalgize and memorize like this. An iconic cultural icon. And may the future be filled with very good zombie films, which are in the style of Romero's zombies. If they're not, which I suspect it won't be the case. Anyway, thank you for being here. Stick around for the replay if you want to watch it, and I will see you in the next flight. Take care.